Hey there. I'm glad we could provide this for you and hope you find it helpful if you were not able to attend our orientation night to kind of give you the basics of what's going on, why we made changes, and what those changes are and what you can expect. First, I want to share with you just our basic beliefs and philosophy here at SAREN for our youth ministry and confirmation programs. We educate without assumptions, meaning that we do not assume that students come to us with any type of knowledge. Although many have been through Sunday school and may have some basic understanding of Bible stories, many have not. So we assume nothing and kind of start at ground level. Also because students are really ready for something a little more than Sunday school teachings. In regards to that, we encourage a lot of questions because we all have questions. I don't care how old you are, if you grew up in a church, if you're new to church, we all have questions. And that we seek this understanding together, meaning we dig into things, we have discussions about it, and we really do this together as a group. So what we had been hearing last year from students, from parents, from teachers, just generally how we felt about the program too, was it just really wasn't working anymore as far as the reality of the lives most of us live, with extremely busy lives, commitments to working parents, that this decades old tradition of confirmation just wasn't working anymore. So we really took a step back and looked at what it was we really wanted for our students in this whole process. So a group of us sat down together, some committee members, some teachers, some leaders, and parents were even invited to come to these meetings. And we started with, like I said, what we want for our students, because what it really boils down to is their faith formation. So we want them to be able to freely enter formal confirmation instruction when they are ready, with no set age or grade that they have to start at. It's just truly when they are ready for it. We also wanted confirmation to be seen as the next step, not the final step. Too often, confirmation is seen as, in a sense, a graduation from the church, which is exactly the opposite of what it is. It's the next step in faith formation. It is a commitment to continue practicing your faith. And obviously, most important, we wanted students to grow in their relationship with Christ. We wanted students to always be asking questions and seeking understanding, really, like our philosophy says, becoming lifelong learners in this regards. We also wanted parents and mentors to have an active role and really understand what an important part they have in their students' faith formation. We wanted them to experience the joy, love, and support of a Christian community. Because let's be honest, many things in our lives and our communities stress us out rather than give us joy, love, and support. We wanted children to be able to talk about faith and life experiences they're having and how that looks up against their faith and what that means. And we wanted to do this not only with adults they could trust, but with peers that they could trust to talk about these experiences and what it means. And finally, we really wanted students to be able to name, claim, and defend their faith, because it's been shown that these kids that when we just blindly accept something someone tells us to learn or we memorize it, it's really not internalized and become a part of their faith. It's just something they blindly adopted and just as easily will abandon. Okay, so first here we have our Wednesday nights now really consist of two parts. First is formal confirmation instruction from 5:30 to 6:30 each night for those that are truly ready to enter into that formal instruction. Again, there's not going to be a predetermined age or grade level. It could be anywhere from 6th grade to 12th grade, as long as it's when the student is truly ready to do that. Those enrolled in formal confirmation instruction must also participate in youth ministry. Youth ministry is for grades 6 through 12, and it runs each evening from 7 to 8:30, and we'll get into some of the details here in a little bit. So just a couple other basic pieces. Like I said, confirmation starts at 5:30. At 6:30, we will start serving pizza and water at a cost for $1 per slice of pizza or a bottle of water. We did that because we know that there are so many families running like crazy, and sometimes it can even be hard to figure out how to get them from school to practice to church, and somehow squeeze dinner in there. So we started offering that low-cost option for students. At 7 o'clock is when youth ministry officially starts in the sanctuary. That will be a high energy, absolutely still faith-based part, which we'll mention here in a little bit as well. We start in large group with that, and at 7:30 we break into small groups, and then 8:30 we're done for the night, and then there's snacks available as students depart. Couple other basic things we want to point out is that absolutely will we not allow electronic devices like phones or iPads. In the past, our rule was that they could have their phone on them. They didn't have to turn it in as long as we didn't see it. Unfortunately, found that they were still quite a distraction in the classroom. So they will be collected at the beginning of the evening if they bring them in the building. If parents would prefer to leave them in their car when they drop them off, that works for us too. But if a phone enters the building, we will be taking it away for the evening. If they are enrolled in formal confirmation instructions, they are to bring their Bibles with them each week. Calendars, which I'll show you a picture of here shortly, and you should have received in the mail, are going to be sent out seasonally this year. So it'll just have a few months at a time and more details as to some of the things going on. They are also available and pinned to the top of the youth Facebook page if you happen to misplace yours. So here's just a look at the check-in station, which if you're in the youth program last year or your kids were in Sunday school, you recognize where this is. If you're new, it is just down the hall as you walk in. You walk straight ahead from the church, and then you take a left at the first hallway. So here you'll see the check-in stations. I'll point out first the magenta circle. Circling two clipboards on the bulletin board are where students will find sign-ups for community service or requirements that they need to fulfill to be confirmed. We will put up monthly offerings as well as impromptu things for kids that they can do, so check that frequently. The yellow arrow is pointing to a very important spot because that is where the people that keep track of our requirements for us put any types of forms, whether it be worship notes or church life involvement forms. They tack them up on the board there if they are missing some type of information. I would highly encourage you to check this often. Because sometimes, well, for example, we had a student last year who had 4 of them up there at one time without a name, so we couldn't track them down. And when they recognized it was their handwriting, it was nearly impossible for them to recall the information that was missing on those forms. So we really encourage you to check that often. The magenta arrow is pointing to where you will not only find the worship notes that you need, you will also see the box where you turn them in, filing them by grade. The blue circle is the filing cabinet in which students in the confirmation process will find their folders in which a form I will show you here shortly with their checklist will be placed and everything we have on file for them for that. So in that check-in station I showed you, there are little computers with label printers, and each week they will be turned on. And if you're familiar at all with this from last year, Sunday school, it's the same thing. You just start typing in your last name in the first box, and it should autofill. You then click on your name, and then when this next screen you'll see here comes up, you not only need to put a check in the youth ministry students box, but you also need to click on that little thing that looks like a tag next to the student's name so that their tag and their label prints out. We require these each night for students as we have many leaders and many kids, and not everybody is amazing at remembering names. I know I'm not. But then you also importantly need to remember to click done to be counted for attendance. Here's just a picture of our seasonal calendar that comes out. You'll see that it's just a few months at a time with some basic information for you. If you did not receive yours in the mail or you're new to us here at Sarin, feel free to pick them up at the check-in station. They are in a clear bin mounted on the wall. So problems. Sadly, this is an area sometimes that is not fun to deal with. Our classes at some points get so large, and we also have students that don't necessarily want to be here. They're and very vocal about telling us that they don't want to be here, that they're forced to be here. And unfortunately, it turned into some really disruptive courses or classrooms that we had to deal with, which really made it not a great learning environment for those kids that were truly committed and wanted to be here learning stuff. It just made things not fun across the board. Like I said, the leaders and teachers that sometimes felt like police, and the students weren't necessarily very respectful. So we really try to we do understand that they get antsy, they can't sit still, they've been in school all day, they're tired, they're exhausted, they've been in sports, and they probably have a ton of homework to do as well. So we do intentionally plan some physical activity and some fun stuff into the night. Not only at the beginning of the night in the sanctuary where we're together as a large group, but even some stuff that moves them around a little bit, but still doesn't stray from the topic within their small groups. So most problems we just handle one-on-one with the student. However, sometimes continued problems will require us to have a conference with the parents where we come in and discuss your options. And we may ask you to either remove yourself from formal confirmation instruction until they are ready, or we may have to send you home from that event or that day. It really just depends on what's going on and how we need to deal with it for the best for everybody. If it happens to be a Wednesday night, we may call home and ask that the student get picked up. If we happen to be off-site for something, we may ask that the parent come and pick up the student. If we are traveled far away by plane or even by automobile, but far away and we need to send them home, parents will be responsible for the transportation expense. All right, so here's where it will be helpful if you happen to have, can pull up or print out the confirmation handout that you received and look at page 5 because we're going to be talking about confirmation requirements. So this, like I said, might be a little confusing at this point since this is a transition year. But those who are in 9th grade can choose to finish the year the same way as the previous years. Their requirements have not changed, and they do not have to come for the 5:30 class. For those entering formal confirmation instruction that are coming for 5:30, their requirements are slightly different, and I will show you both forms here shortly. If you want to, feel free to pause this video so you can take a look at that. That is great. Okay, so here, if you are a 9th grader finishing out your year as you had previously, you will recognize this as your confirmation requirement tracking. This has not changed and it will be in the same place in your folder in the filing cabinet. So if you have signed up for the official confirmation instruction or are new to confirmation here at Sarin, this is what your requirement checklist will look like. This is different in that it is only 1 year of a commitment to getting these things done, September through May, and being confirmed after all these are fulfilled within that 9-month window. It does require you to come each day or Wednesday, I should say, at 5:30 to 6:30 and has a flipped classroom model to it, requiring homework that will be done at home ahead of time. The requirements, really the only thing that's been added is to attend 2 special worship services. The confirmation verse selection essay was there before. It was a requirement to be confirmed. However, it was not on the tracking sheet. A rubric will be provided for that so that students have a better idea and know kind of exactly what we're looking for with that. So here again is a picture of where you will find your confirmation requirement. Information is in this filing cabinet with the blue circle. So as you saw on that handout, or if you just briefly looked at the slide, we do require community service hours as part of the requirements for students. Those are things that are to be handled outside of the church. For example, if you do something with your gymnastics team or your hockey team, community service oriented, we just need a copy of the sheet and signed by a leader saying how many hours you did. We do offer options for you to do that here through the church as well. So each month we have a God's Grub on the second Sunday from 3:15 to 7:15, and you can get some community service hours in that way. October we also host Trunk or Treat for the community as another good opportunity for community service hours. And new this year in November and January we are partnering with adult ministries for some community service options. And the first one will be on November 17th. It's a Saturday, and it will be at Sarin. We'll be packing some meals for the homeless population in the cities. The time has not been determined exactly yet, but you can mark that date on your calendar. And then in January, we will be serving at Place of Hope in St. Cloud, which is a homeless shelter for families. That one is obviously off-site. It is set for January 12th, which is a Saturday. And again, the time on that one to be determined. And we may be even adding some more. So watch for those opportunities. Okay, so you may be wondering what exactly is the youth ministry part of the night. Youth ministry is the part of the night that is still faith-based. It is not the really structured, formal instruction with expectations of stuff being done in between. It is a little more relationally based, and many times how they can relate certain things to their lives. And we discuss things in a little more relaxed fashion, but it is still faith-based. So we'll start the evening, like I mentioned previously, in the sanctuary. It'll be kind of the high energy time. We'll have some songs and we'll have some games. And then when we break up into classrooms, there will be curriculum that we follow, but it will not be the same as confirmation. And it'll be more things that they can easily connect to their life or some questions they might be asking. You may have heard that we are doing a church-wide curriculum called Believe through this year, where each age group, in worship, in children's and adult ministries and in youth, will be looking at the same topics all year. The only time we will deviate from that is when it maybe is a topic we've recently covered with the students before this curriculum, and we feel like it would be too much of a repeat too soon. Other points when church pauses Believe, such as over Advent, we will focus on issues that impact their lives, such as peer pressure, bullying, relationships, mental health, those types of things. But like I said, all still very faith-based. And we are also we are looking at making these groups much smaller and would love to have more adults to help out with our evenings. So if you feel called or nudged at all to do that, just let me know. This is, again, like I said, where we focus on building relationships rather than drilling in them lessons that they cannot relate to. Retreats is something we take very seriously here at Sarin because it is a really important step in creating these relationships, building some bonds, where we can set up these environments where kids feel safe for the rest of the year. And for that reason, the fall retreat is one of the most important. If you can't attend both, we highly encourage the fall because that's at the beginning of the year. They both take place at Camp Chaminade in Motley, Minnesota. It's about an hour and a half north of Big Lake. Like I said, very important part of youth ministry and confirmation because these times together, we not only build relationships among students and leaders, but most importantly, God. It is a way to help build that environment, like I said, where they feel safe talking about their questions, doubts, and things happening in their lives that can be really hard to talk about. There's a video if you want to check out on YouTube called Camp Chaminade, as you see the spelling here. Just look up Fall Fling, and you can see some of the fun things they have to do. We do laser tag, horseback riding, high ropes course, zip lines, lots of fun stuff. And we worship together every day, and we also do some small study times each day. Wanted also to mention this event coming up here soon. We have the Chili Cook-Off, Baked Potato Bar, and Silent Auction happening already on Sunday, September 30th from 11:30 to 2. And this will be a major fundraiser, we're hoping, for the Children, Youth, and Family Ministry because these things we do cost money to do, and to keep costs of things like the retreat down, we really subsidize it with this fundraising. And so if you can help out that day, want to enter some chili into the cook-off. If you know somebody or you have the means of providing a silent auction item yourself, that would be great. Every little bit helps. So you may be wondering what's next. Well, if you decide that this is what you'd like to do, and your student is ready for this as well, we would have you sign up and register. And that includes both parent information and child information, and you can find that at sarin.org under Connect and then Youth Ministries. You also can pay in check, or you can pay online that way too. We do require students to choose one retreat, so let me know which retreat you would like to go to. Also, I can connect you with Sue, our wonderful volunteer who coordinates snacks each evening for these kids. We do have some waiver forms that we need you to sign and permission slips. And then we also need a parent-student signature on that confirmation handout you had. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to email me at Molly, it's MOLLY, at Saron, SARON.org. Or you can give me a call at 763-263-2209. Thanks so much. Hope this was helpful.